When you care about a company or an organization, constructive criticism is always important to provide feedback to allow them to actually move forward and see that the community are not willing to just let things slip. Recently, there's been more and more talk about the VV bots and the system, and also customer service not really being up to the standard that we're expecting for a company that's growing like this. So today we're going to be discussing the issue a little bit further, seeing if there's any solutions that we can put in place right now, and how if we continue to talk about it, we can make sure that we are heard. Welcome in everyone, my name's Andy, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get started, if you are enjoying the content and you want to support me further, you can hit that subscribe button, and if you want to support me even further than that, you can join the membership. I want to preface this by saying I am in no way sponsored or paid in any way by Veve or the team, Ecomi, anything like that. I actually talked to any of the owners or founders of Veve before, so I'm coming at this just a person who really enjoys the app and has helped change my life, a path that I'm actually moving towards. I want to see this company succeed just as much as the next person who enjoys it. I'm here to help this company grow, and constructive criticism is important with that. I also want to mention Chris has done an incredible video on this, and I'm going to be covering some of the points that he has also talked about. It's important to cover the aspects that he looked at too, so I'll leave a link to that video down below. You can definitely go check that out and subscribe to his channel anyway, because he's incredible. Right, so we've had more issues when it comes to the bots, with people obviously speaking about it on Twitter, posting the pictures on Discord and all that sort of stuff, and we can see it more, and you can see it on the screen right here. There are pictures of people who are getting the drops with multiple phones. It just wouldn't be possible with someone's two hands, you know, to click them all at the same time. Bots are in the works there, and people are getting the drops quite consistently when it comes to that. And then to add on to that, into the marketplace, there has been sort of sell walls being created by people who certainly look like bots, or not people that are using it just on one account and they're selling something and that's sort of it, and they're creating that whole sell wall for themselves. Now, it's not to say that, again, people can't just buy a lot of things on the marketplace and create these sell walls. That definitely happens. And it's also not to say with some of the things that when a private account is there with no photo, it means there's a bot. My dad has an account that's a private account and not got a photo on it, and he's not a bot. And I'm guessing there's a lot of new people on this platform who've just not got around to editing their profile that matches up to your standards of what is a bot or not. There is a lot of new people on this platform, remember. Every single person who has a private account and no photo just isn't a bot, and I think we need to make that clear from the get-go. That's not to take away from the issue that there are, of course, bots on the Veve platform. We've seen them on Discord that they're selling their services. They're working towards even a new fix for when the new drop system comes out that Veve have been saying that's going to be coming in the next few months. Now, this new drop system is a drop raffle system where you're just going to enter yourself. You're going to have a time window, and as you enter, everyone's just going to be put into that raffle, and it will decide if you get it or not, rather than people having to click at the right time and all that sort of stuff the way we're doing right now. This is something that Veve have said has been ongoing for the start, and we all know this was the case. If there's money to be made, there's going to be people who are going to try to exploit it, and I know this is the case for every single other industry that's out there. It happens with Nike shoes, it happens with Adidas shoes, it also happens with a ton of other OpenSea contracts, as well as other things that are sold as NFTs. So don't think that this is just a Veve problem. This is a worldwide problem. People are taking advantage of the things that can make them money, and this is how they make even more money, not only for themselves, but their customers that paying for it. That's why it becomes an even bigger issue, because there's actually money at hand here. It happens in games where you don't even make money. You've got cheaters on things like COD, like Fortnite, like Rocket League. You've got cheaters in every single industry. It's not something that's just unique to Veve and why that's the case. So I think this is important to look at and actually understand. It's not something that Veve can 100% solve, because it's going to be impossible. Where there's money to be made, bots are going to figure out how to cheat the system, and that's just how it goes. All they can do is try to minimize it in the best way possible and get it as low as possible to do so. As well, negativity is way louder than positivity. Everyone who is posting those pictures, obviously that is what is focused on. Nothing is focused on people who are getting the drops for the first time. You know, one of my friends got on Veve over the last 2 weeks or so, and he finally got his first 2 drops over the last 2 days. And that's the same for a lot of people. You know, there are going to be a lot of people who are getting these drops and no one says anything, but because negativity obviously spreads more, that's what's going to be focused on. And I'm not saying there isn't an issue, I'm just saying that there are other people who are getting the drops. It isn't just solely bots. And people who are saying 80 to 90% of them are going to bots, I think it's just a bit of an over exaggeration, and I think you know that as well. We need to use logic here, and although it's probably still too high of a percentage, I'd say maybe aiming at something like 80% is just kind of illogical at that point, and just using emotion to try and fuel the fire even more. If we're given constructive criticism, we need to come in a professional manner rather than screaming and shouting like children and not actually actually getting anywhere with it. In this video talked about sell walls that are now being created when it comes to bots on the market. And it's basically they're creating this full sell wall where they're undercutting each other by maybe a couple gems, and it's all happening at the same time. So we don't actually have the proof that people can run systems where collectibles are actually sold at a period of time for an exact price, but it does seem like that's the case, and people were saying it did start with the killer croc. I'm not sure if because more exposure has been happening with Veve, there's more people who are looking to exploit it, but there definitely is becoming some form of issue that we are seeing. This again can create people to panic and sell off lower than they are because they're from different accounts and they don't actually know what's going on, and then they believe just because it's that sell wall there, then everyone who's selling are bots. But what I always try to look at is there's usually only about 10% or less of listings on the market, and with those, there's only a small percentage who could potentially be that sort of area. So again, we have to look at this logically here and know that the people who are selling in the market, although it can be flippers, there's definitely a bunch of people in there. It's not solely bots. We have to make sure that we're addressing that in the right way, and we're not saying that everyone is bots who's selling at the floor price, because I've sold at floor price before. I didn't change my profile right from the beginning in April. It took me some time to work on my profile, make it something what it is, and I'm sure other people are the same. Again, I'm really not trying to deflect that there is a problem. I know there's a problem, but we have to actually come at this in the right way. And if we just start screaming and shouting and blaming everything and doing nothing about it in a constructive manner, then it's just going to be noise that no one wants to hear. So what can we do when it comes to this? What are the solutions that we can have when it comes to it? Because Veve have told us that they've blocked a lot of accounts, and people who have got the drops and they've classed them as bots, they've just blocked them. The collectibles that they've got in their accounts are, what we've heard anyway, are going to be taken back and done as giveaways in the future. However, I think what we would rather have is that the majority could be caught before they actually get into the drop raffle, and that means they don't actually get it so that other people have a fairer chance. And of course, once we go to the drop raffle, a lot of people feel that that's going to solve the problem, but since we've not actually had the experience of the drop raffle yet, we don't know if that's going to solve the problem. For me, that only brings up new problems that the drop raffle is going to do. It means that because we'll have a window of, say, maybe 10 minutes to get into the drop, it means that people who create systems on their PC or their Mac or anything like that, where they can make thousands of accounts and all enter into this drop raffle, have way more of a chance than any regular user who's using one device, or a family who's using maybe 3 devices within the family. That again lowers your chances even further. And why right now, since we don't actually have the data on how this drop raffle is going to go, we may potentially see an even bigger issue with less and less of us getting the drops at that point. And why my focus would more so be towards the MCP raffle, because you need to be a certain level to actually enter this, and you also have to spend time on that to get to that level. So back to the solutions then. The biggest thing that we keep hearing is KYC, which is know your customer. It's basically what banks use to stop fraud and to show that you are the person who's using this account. Now, this can solve some issues, definitely. I know it can. However, there are some problems as well with KYC that people can get around. They can buy things on certain markets for legal licenses that they can use for this sort of stuff, and they can just get into KYC. So it's definitely not going to solve the problem. It could help, and there's definitely downfalls to KYC. And I do think it's a good aspect that should be introduced to Veve itself, not only for when you're taking out money, because of course you're going to have to do that, but especially when it comes to something where you can make a lot of money for this thing. I think just creating those extra steps for security is going to help. The problem is that Veve are aiming for mass adoption, and when mass adoption happens, your aim is to make customers' experience as easy as possible. But the issue is, when there's money to be made, making the customer's experience as easy as possible should maybe be taken a little bit back as security becomes higher. We should have other things that allow security to be better when it comes to the drop system. And you could make an account today on Veve and get into the drop right away, meaning if you're banned on one account, you just make another account and go onto that and put some gems in. Yes, you might have lost 13 gems if you got the Marvel Mighties yesterday. It won't really hurt you that much in the long run. If you just put another 50 gems in, you manage to get a secret there and then are able to sell that, and maybe that bot account isn't actually caught. So there needs to be further steps, I feel, when it comes to opening an account on the app. It has to be a certain number of days old, KYC, you could have different things like gamification when it comes to the drops, so that people can actually use it on 150 different devices, because something has to be done on each device to ensure that you actually get the drop, rather than just clicking one button and that's it. Because bot systems can easily do that. They can find the button that needs to be clicked and they'll click it. This is how sniping bots work on the marketplace as well. And another issue that needs to be sorted, because people who are genuinely trying to snipe things in the market is way harder, because bots can just be set up to click the buy now, click all the right actions in order to snipe something. So me trying to click on the buy now, scroll down, click the buy now again, and click the final buy now in order to get it just is not going to be as quick as something that can do it automatically. These issues are going to be challenging, and it's not going to be something that will be easy for Veve or Akomai as a team to actually solve. It's not something that's going to take a day. It's something that will take a while in order to solidify and make it something that actually works in the smoothest way possible and is protecting everyone in the best way. There seems to be something that has to be done in order to protect people further, actually catch these bots or these systems that are happening before they're getting the drop. Again, we're not going to solve this problem. It's not going to be something that 100% of bots will ever go away. It's a worldwide issue, and it's not something that Veve can do alone. But there are definitely things that can be done in order to make it better. And like I said, things like gamification when it comes to the drops, so that you have to actually do something further when it comes to that. Myself and Orion have both made videos on how you actually gamify the drops, make them fun, genuinely entertaining. Although that would be something that would take a lot of time. KYC, or your account has to be a certain level in the MCP program actually enter the drops, allows things to just happen more smoothly. This again is when I could even bring it back to the card games that I was mentioning. People are really annoyed that they're coming into Veve and they're not getting any drops. And if you introduced a card game, they could buy these packs at any time. Now what this could do, allow them to get introduced to the collectible side of things and the sort of getting drops or purchasing things on the app. But right away, they're not allowed to enter any of the drops that are happening. They have to follow certain criteria. They have to have a certain account at this day old. They have to do these certain tasks in order to actually enter the drops that are going to be happening. This could be like spending time in the feed, going to people's vaults, anything like that, like the MCP points that you're going to be getting every day to level up, having to reach a certain level in order to actually enter these drops. The majority of people would actually do them, and although that might create some form of slower growth in the beginning, long-term success is what we're aiming for, not some sort of short-term quick money grab and run. You're looking for decades of success, and we need to move forward with that thought process in mind. The other issue that I think is important to talk about is customer service. Now, some of you may have seen on Twitter that people have been getting their account disabled or their market restricted when it comes to someone who potentially hasn't been using bots, scripts, or anything like that. What I will say for this is that it's very important to understand that we don't have the data. I've not found anyone who I personally know to a deeper level that's had their account restricted or banned. Now, I know quite a lot of the content creators, a fair few people in the community. I know there's one who I do know, but I don't know actually personally that I've talked to. But again, we don't actually have that data. There's been some issues when it comes to logging into the same account on two different devices could potentially be causing it. Some people have been saying things when you're buying tainted gems, but I don't actually think that's been confirmed at all. And there's also other things where someone could potentially be using some form of systems that are flagging it. Remember, it's not actually someone sitting there at their PC just clicking, yeah, you know what, flag that account, flag that account. It's a system that automatically does it, and then they have to go case by case basis in order to understand. However, what I will say is that customer service seems to be pretty bad at the moment, and customer service is one of the most important aspects of any business, as it reflects your brand image as a whole. When customers are enjoying and having a great time on your app, it's fine, it's great, fantastic that you're able to create that experience. But the real experience is given when a problem occurs, when an issue happens with a customer, and how the company actually deals with that. It shows your brand image, it shows what you're willing to do, and it shows your values on how you actually treat and want to see your customer experience evolve as they have issues dealt with and sorted in a mannerly time. The issue again with this is that Veve have grown so fast, they've not been able to maybe expand the company the way they'd like to at a quick of a pace as they'd like to, because customer service reps have to be trained up to a way that they're actually competent and successful at dealing with the issues that are happening. This takes time and is not something that is just an easy process. So again, we've got to understand that this process may take time in order to get to that place where we have more customer reps that are actually able to solve and help us with the issues that we're having in a quicker time. But I do agree that it's been too slow at the moment. People are not getting the advice and the understandings that they actually need when it comes to their accounts being restricted, and the advice to actually not have this happen in the future. And we need a more clear-cut understanding of what happens and why it happens. Again, there's maybe going to be some issues with this, with them actually just coming in full outright and saying that this is the case, because that could help maybe some malicious acts of what's going to be happening. I do think it's extremely important to gain more customer satisfaction through customer service experience, and certainly right now that's not being the case. So a tweet from a Reddit post that was saying that now 90% of the drops that they were getting when they used to get a lot more are being flagged and are being disabled right away. Hello K has talked about this a little bit further, telling us that this will cause a higher price point because supply will actually be lower as their accounts are being disabled. Of course, we're going to have to see how this moves forward in the long run and try to help Vive and Ecomi move to the success that we want to see them actually have. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't care about the company, and I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't care about what's been happening with some of the users who are wanting to get into Vive and really enjoying the app for what it is. Vive have been able to create an incredible experience that I think has changed a lot of our lives, not only financially, but just in general, being able to meet some amazing people on this platform. And I know I certainly have. So I want to see this company succeed as much as the rest of you do. This is why I'm talking about it. And I hope that Vive and Ecomi actually listen to some of the content creators and the people who are talking on Twitter, as we can create some form of noise in order for them to actually either take action or tell us directly what they're doing to make sure this is stopped. They can continue to obviously say what they have in the past, where they've got the top security, which I fully believe they do, and they're paying a high amount in order to actually run that, and they're stopping probably a lot of bots. But it's also to not say that there are further things that can always be done in order to protect your customer and improve your consumer experience when it comes to customer service, because that does seem to be a point that is quite lacking at the moment, and something I would like to see improved over the next few months. I would like to hear your thoughts down below on how Vive could maybe improve, and I really don't want there to be some negative bloodbath in the comments. I want this to be constructive and something that Vive can actually take away. Be professional about this, and we come with constructive feedback on how to actually improve. Maybe something can be moved forward with, and we can create a better relationship with not only the founders, but the people in the community. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.